Page 3 now, the Republican majority in the Senate. It could grow. 3 races are still undecided, and one of them won't be decided until winter. So far, the GOP has reclaimed Democrat Senate seats in 7 states, and that gave the Republicans the majority in the Senate for the first time since 2006. Key races look like this. In Kansas, Republican incumbent Pat Roberts held off challenger independent Greg Orman. In the end, Roberts won by a wide margin. In New Hampshire, a Democrat stronghold, incumbent Jeanne Shaheen was reelected. She beat Republican challenger Scott Brown by more than 3 points. In Louisiana, that Senate race is headed for a runoff in December. The top 2 vote getters are incumbent Democrat Mary Landrieu and Republican challenger Bill Cassidy. Now, Cassidy is expected to pick up in the December runoff virtually all the votes acquired by the 3rd, more conservative candidate in that race. And in Virginia, it's still too close to call. However, it's leaning Democrat, 49.1% for incumbent Mark Warner, the Republican challenger Ed Gillespie with 48.5%. Now, it's clear these Democrat senatorial candidates shunned the president. But what's also clear is that this president abandoned these incumbent senators.
This president is the most arrogant politician of my entire lifetime. He set his own people up. He really did. He set his own people up. The only way the Kay Hagans and the Mark Pryors and all the other Democrats who lost yesterday were going to survive was to separate themselves from the president. And the president's response is, well, that's fine. They all voted with me anyway. Or, while I'm not on the ballot, my policies are. The president made the Republican argument for us. We barely even needed to make it. And the response yesterday was, well, if these Democrats hadn't run away from the president, many of them would have done better. What alternative universe are these people living in? It is breathtakingly arrogant.
Now, in Alaska, the Senate race there is another close one. However, the race appears to be another gain for the Republicans. So what's the message to Democrats post-election? And has Obama become even more politically radioactive now? Joining me now, President of Young Democrats in California, Rory Pendergrast. Rory, do you buy what this gentleman, this expert so-called, is saying?
Well,
that the president abandoned the candidates and that he's a very selfish candidate?
Well, I'm not sure if I'd say that he was a selfish candidate. I think when you look at this is that this was the American public was getting kind of upset, not only with the president, because, 6 years, they've got fatigued. No matter what the guy has done while he's been in office, it hasn't been good enough, and I understand that. But when you're looking at what it really is that they're also sick of the gridlock in Washington. So you look at these Senate seats that the Democrats lost. One is that the last time they were elected was in 2008 when we rode the coattails of Obama when so many people were voting back then. And then now what they're at is they're the incumbents. They're part of the problem. So I think part of what people are saying is that it's not just President Obama, that it's just saying anybody who's in there. And if we can vote them out, we're going to vote them out. And I think that's a huge thing that you saw last night. Now, was it that Obama was running from them, that he abandoned them? I don't know. I think that many of them were running away from him. And now it's easy for us to sit here and critique the plans that they put into place. Looking back at it now, I mean, Obama stumping in each of their states, looking at it now, could not have made it worse than what it was last night. But I'm not sure if I could say that he abandoned them.
Well, but when you talk about the incumbents suffering, the Democrat incumbents, there were plenty of Republican incumbents on the ballot last night, and they got through the election. Okay, a lot of them did anyway. Yeah, they survived the election. So I think you have to look at this midterm election not just as 2014, but you have to look at it in the continuum with 2010. And between both of these 2 midterm elections, the president and his policies got hammered. And sandwiched in between with this election called 2012, which was a presidential election. So if you look at 2010 as a repudiation of the president and then 2014 as a repudiation of the president, how in the world was Obama reelected in 2012?
Well, what it is here's the simple fact. When the voting turnout is high, Democrats win. Because you look at this, we were talking about it just before just before this, is that so for instance, in California, right, there's about 17 million, 18 million registered voters. The last I looked at the ballot tallies, it was only about 5 million people that actually cast ballots. These are dismal, horrible numbers. And that's where you have the real impact. And looking at last night, you look at the main senators that were up for re-election. Those are traditionally red Republican strongholds. And that the reason that there were Democrats in those seats was because they were elected 6 years ago.
Because of Barack
2008.
Obama, right?
Because they're riding the coattails, because at that moment is when so many people were voting. Now, I think the real thing to look at is there a silver lining in this? And I think that the real silver lining is going to be for Hillary Clinton. Because right now, just the American people, or at least those who voted, just annihilated any potential competition that she has. Because really, look at it. Whether there's the governors who weren't reelected or their hand-picked successors who weren't reelected on the Dem side, they're done.
Okay, but you could also look at it like this, that the Barack Obama and company has left scorched earth for Hillary or whoever receives the mantle in 2016, because in a sense, this president, through his policies and his decision-making and his executive actions and his authority out of the Oval Office, has obliterated parts of, not all of, it hasn't killed the Democrat Party, but in my opinion has obliterated parts of it. And it's going to take a while for the Democrat Party, I think, to recover from this. So in my opinion, it doesn't set up 2016 very well for the Republicans overall.
Yeah, well, I think what it does is this, is that what you have Hillary there, that she is going to be able to distance herself from what Obama has done. And what she's going to be able to do is unite the people. Because I think where a lot of Democrats, speaking as a Democrat myself and listening to other Democrats, where they seem so frustrated is that they want to push even a further progressive agenda. And Obama, who is honestly, he's the leader of every one of us, right? In the U.S. So he's got to give and take to some extent. And so he hasn't been able to give the progressives exactly what they wanted to. And so, like it or not, I think what Hillary's going to be able to do is say that the option is up. Obama took us from a really bad state, and when you look at it, not just in the vacuum of where we're at, but when you look at what he has accomplished, she's going to be able to say, I'm going to build on that, we're going to have unity in the party, and we're going to push this thing through.
Okay, separate herself.
Yes.
And we're almost out of time here, but I got to hit one race in California that maybe is a microcosm for many others and could take the Republican Party in a different and new direction. That's the 52nd in California. Carl DeMaio, Scott Peters. It's an extremely close race. They're still counting the ballots. It's not over. DeMaio has a slight edge right now, but again, they're still counting.
Yeah. Out of 140,000 votes cast, there's a difference of about 700 or 800 votes.
If DeMaio wins, he's openly gay. He is pro-abortion, and among many other liberal stances. Does he change the Republican Party for the future if he wins?
I think that it's a start. And you know, here's what I have to say is that even if he doesn't change it, even if he doesn't get elected, I think that there is a change coming. However, when you look at what happened here, there was this perfect tweet I saw last night. It says people basically, they voted to legalize marijuana, they voted for women's rights when it comes to abortion, and they want conservatives to run the country. So I think that is what's going to be changing more. It's not just DeMaio himself, it's just kind of the changing structure of the electorate.
All right, we shall see.
Yeah.
Rory, thanks.
Yes, thank you.